Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Like Jackson Aurelia. Jackson Aurelia. Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Proc it Jackson Aurelia. T-Force.
Welcome to the rework of the T-Force. Now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and cash from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like your Resi in the bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a try?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this evening. The number on the channel is actually wrong. It's episode number 223, not 222. I didn't fix that and change that.
Slacking. First podcast of the year. We're coming in strong.
Now to do it over again.
Yep.
This is the NATO standard round podcast, 223. No, 556, which is 223.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks for the information, DeClaude. I'm so
You're
enlightened. Sadly, with the new year, we don't have any new awesome. We don't have that much awesome new news to bring to you guys, and some of you are probably very happy for that because I think some of you get really annoyed. But I'm going to say Wednesday we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. What was I going to say? I have a piece of news. Sorry, I'm unprepared for the first of the year. This is the T4 standard. First of the year is always a shit show. So we what did I call out for? The Journey to 30. God, I'm sorry, guys. The Journey to 30. I made a call out for that. A bunch of you guys applied. We had 66 applicants come in for the Journey to 30.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's a lot of people.
That's a fuckload of people.
How was reading all of those, Adam?
God. So Asterish and myself and Haberdashing all went through them. We had to read all 66 of them, and we all picked out 10 people each that we wanted to. We compared the list, picked anybody that we had exactly the same. They got an email, then we decided in between the rest of it. I sent out 13 emails from those 66 for your round 2. Anybody who didn't get an email back, I apologize, but when there's 66 here, you can imagine why I'm not responding and saying, sorry, you didn't get the job. It's not that it's not that we didn't think you were qualified. There was just other people who we thought could could bring the best or the most to that podcast, I should say. And there's still going to be, if you didn't get a reply to it, there is definitely more opportunities in the Trinity Force Network as we grow, because within this new year, there's going to be lots of new opportunities come up, lots of new things that'll be happening. And, I've kept all the emails, so, don't feel like I'm shaming you if I didn't talk to you. And everyone say hi to the esports dog in the background, by the way. She keeps looking over.
Hi, Poppy.
Get down.
Hi, sports dog.
What are you doing? Get down.
She's so sad.
But with that said, there's there's going to be 3 rounds to this. So if you're going to, so those 13 people got emails. If you're listening now, get us your stuff by January 8th, which actually you probably won't hear this podcast by that time. And then round 3 happens, and then the Journey to 30 comes out. So yeah, thank you everybody though for you're putting in your applications. Well, I was going to read reviews. I'm going to read reviews on Wednesday because I can't think and get them up at the same time. But I do have something else to say, and that has to start by playing this music, which the guys who are listening right now, only the people on stream can hear this music. So can you guys guess what's playing?
I can imagine.
It's Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
You know what this means, don't you guys? This means in January, the Trinity Force podcast crew is taking on the League of Legends Anonymous podcast.
Yeah.
We're not taking them on. We're just playing them. We're going to walk all over them. Oh. We are going to take out every single League of Legends podcast out there. This is an official call out to every League of Legends podcast that is out there. We want to play you in 5s. We have a belt. You can just imagine right now. Just imagine me having a belt on my shoulder.
Yeah. Wait, did we really decide to do the belt thing? I know we had talked shit about doing this. Okay, so we're actually doing this. The championship belt, it's real.
So we have a championship belt. I don't have it on the stream. I'm going to have it on Wednesday. But it's going to be a belt, and that belt is going to go to whoever wins. And, well, it's never leaving my house. Let's be honest. It's going to go right there. It's going to go right there behind the wall, and it's going to stay there until
But Adam will paint,
like,
a big thing underneath that says, like, the winner is. And I'm just making that up. He probably won't ever do that, but...
I'll
believe.
If you read the lore, you know that Kha'Zix actually has the Eye of the Tiger. He ripped it out of Rengar.
That's great. Great.
Oh, kill
Enjoy
me
that.
now.
Yeah. Shoot me in the face, really.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bug you with that one. Move on.
Yes, it did.
So yeah, the date. I'll have the date on Wednesday. We're figuring out the dates right now. It'll more than likely be in 2 weeks, I would assume, because we're just gonna give a couple weeks for people to prep. It's gonna be T-Force, the same guys from the last game, Punch, Chira, DeClaude, Daze, and myself will all be there playing the League of Legends Anonymous guys, and we're gonna be streaming it on the Trinity Force podcast channel. We'll have casters. Hopefully, Kargan will cast again because he did a fantastic job last time, and we'll bring in Badger and other people to cast as well. So that is all of the news that I have for this week. I know these guys are really excited. I mean, we have Punch. We can't lose. We actually have an AD carry. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's here's an improvement from last time, where you didn't have one.
A little bit.
So bets on if Punch is banned out.
Probably.
He
Ban
can't be
me
banned
out.
out. He can play them all. There's
I'd
no
like to see him
banning
try.
of Punch.
Corky, Jigs.
You know, I
Caitlyn,
doubt he'll be
they're all
banned
good.
out just
They
because
only have 3.
if it
Yeah.
if it goes stock to what we usually ban out, it's probably going to be 5 assassins and 1 swing ban.
Right.
Please ban the assassins.
I've turned into Satir because I'm drinking margaritas in a glass that does this.
We're gonna hear.
So you finally like evolved to your next form. Is that
our
you go from-
oldest
you go from-
listeners are gonna be like, "Is
Yeah.
Satir there?"
Yeah, right. It's like Pavlovian. What?
And that says, you know, Adam's stress levels go up when he makes the switch from beer to hard liquor.
So on the PBE right now, there are a whole bunch of changes thanks to who Mubied has compiled them all for us and surrender at 20. We are going to go through every change that's out there because I'm assuming most of these are going to stick because there's actually a new patch that came out or a new patch on the PBE that came out today, the 5th of January, where they had a couple other small changes, and none of these changes have been reversed. So we're just going to go down the
They're tentative, but not.
correct.
A lot of them have been here for a while too, which
So
is
we
a
can
good
talk about
chance that they'll stay.
We won't talk about the Renekton change yet because there's a big Renekton change, and that one is a little bit more prone to get tweaked or removed or whatever, as it goes on. So we're gonna stick with champions, and we're gonna talk about the change to Summoner's Rift because there's a big change to Summoner's Rift, and then we're gonna move on to whatever else we can fill an hour with. So the big change on the Summoner's Rift map on the PBE as it stands is that each map walking into the base has 2 openings. There's an opening. Think
of like a one-way pathway.
Well, I'm thinking the best way to describe it. It's just another opening in between the 2 that are already there. So it's like halfway in between each of the 2 that you can already get in. The 2 outsides they can already get in the base. There's another halfway.
If you played Heroes of the Storm, it's similar to that, only it's not on every entrance. It's just an extra entrance.
But there's a different. But this isn't like your normal entrance because friendly champions can go out and in. Enemy champions can't go through it at all. So it's a wall for enemy champions, but friendly champions can go out and in through this. So you should go look up the pictures. They have like this. It's like a little barrier, like a little light barrier, so that you can see the entrance. But I think this is a pretty big change, especially for junglers, and it starts shaving lots of time off early game and allows you to do things mid and late game. So open up the conversation for that, Chira.
I mean, this is gonna cut like 3 to 5 seconds of just moving around, getting to camps, whatever. I think this is going to be crazy huge when it comes to like the later game sieges, because now if you have somebody that's just took a buff and you're getting pushed on, he can get back into base like safely. How many times have you been standing between the wall and that like little passage in the jungle? They're pushing up through mid lane and they're at the turret, and you can't run through the mid lane to the turret, or you'll get just.
You have to go all the way around.
And you have to go all the way to the other turret to get back into the base, unless you want to, like, unless you're LeBlanc or you're gonna blow flash to get in your base, which you shouldn't do. But
you know what?
I mean, that's huge.
You know what I'm curious about? I know enemy champions, to them it's a wall, but do they take that into account for abilities like if Vayne condemns into it, will they go flying through and then be trapped? Or
I don't know. That's a
will
very
they get stuck
interesting
to it?
question.
So I'm curious to see how things
It's a wall
are
in
go.
the sense that you can't. The enemy
They
can't.
can't go
Well,
through
no,
regardless.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like, if say you're Vayne and there's a Renekton standing right up near that gateway, and Vayne just happens to condemn into the gateway, does he still go through even though, or does he get stunned on it even though it's his gateway?
I would
get
have
stunned on
assumed
it.
he would go through it because it's not an actual wall for you. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
coded
yeah.
as
If
a
it's
wall.
right, if the enemy side, coming up to your base, sieging you, hits you, you're probably going to go through it like as an opening. I'm curious to see
If
little
you condemn someone
scoot-
into it, it should be. They should start.
or scoot and shoot tactics, like sneak out, throw an ability, go back in. Just like little melee things. If someone sneaks by it, you melee them through the wall, then they can't really counterattack you.
Well, one thing you need to keep in mind when you're passing through this wall is that you cannot see through it, even though you can pass through it.
Right.
So you still want to
You
put
gotta
a
have
ward on
your
the other
wards,
side,
yeah.
otherwise you're just walking into the enemy team and you're going to have a bad time.
Right. And if the enemy ward's on the other side of it, it kind of takes away any strategy you
Yep,
can
they
use.
can
with
see
it,
when you're
so
coming and they can prepare accordingly.
I like to pink ward whenever they're sieging me. I like to pink ward right up by the tree or whatever that little obstacle there is, so you can see everything that the tower just can't see, because they usually like to ward right there. So
Actually, pink warding that will probably become more common, because
Yeah.
the enemy is definitely going to want to ward that to make sure like your initiators
yeah.
are
Aren't
coming through and
flanking or-
flanking them. Yeah, so you're going to. I can see a lot of pink wards being placed in the base to protect that.
I'm gonna Scion ult through it.
Can you? It seems super narrow. I don't know if his fat ass
Oh,
will
yeah,
fit
yeah.
through there.
He can't, believe me. He's got a narrow ass hitbox. I've had people just barely slide by that I've missed. I've split the uprights. I've gotten a lot of field goals with Scion because of how small that hitbox on his ultimate is. But if he can ult into terrain, but he can go through that. You're not going to go very far unless you get really crazy with your maneuvers around there. But Adam, are you warming up to Scion now?
Well,
I saw a tweet.
We'll move on to sign in a little bit because I still want to talk about this wall a little bit more because I really like this. The obvious advantages that come from this is sieging. When someone's sieging on you, it makes it easier for the engaged champions that can't get over walls very easily to engage because now you can stand on the outside and flank in and out of your base, which I think that is. I think one of the big problems with League of Legends right now is that the games go for too long and there's too much siege. There's too much sieging that happens in League right now. Like, this is a whole other tangent, a whole other thing I'll yell at about another date and time. But like, even if you win lane decisively, you can still lose the game because you're getting the dragon buffs and people are sieging down towers and whatever. So not having a distinct if you're at a distinct disadvantage because you're being sieged on, like you were previously, kind of takes a lot of the fun out of the game for me. So I like the fact that it's opening it up. It's allowing you to have a more of a path to make counterplays, make things happen.
Flank
Yeah, I think
maneuvers,
it's
stuff like that.
I think
yeah.
it's good what they're trying to do, and that is create different options to end a siege. Because really, there's not much you can do, especially if you're in your
Right.
base and the enemy is sieging you in your base. Then yeah, there's really not much you can do. You kind of have to weather the storm. So what they're trying to do is give you more flexibility. So okay, I can flank through the side, or because this option already exists for towers outside of the base, right? What do they talk? They always LCS casters always talk about that red side, second tower, and bottom lane, which is really hard to defend because the enemy can go around you and just get. So they say, "Oh, just give it up, just get out of there." Well, it's basically the same thing they're trying to do for bases. Is now instead of that huge wall, they'll give you another little area to sneak through and
I
open
can't
up
wait to
some
try
and if-
cheesy things with it, like Nautilus's anchor. Throw it through that wall and yank somebody and yourself.
There is a doodad
What'll
on the
happen
opposite
there?
end of the wall, so you probably could hit that, assuming the anchor goes through and get to safety.
Yeah,
that way.
assuming it does go through.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Sean?
Yeah, I was going to.
I like this because now I feel like I can aggressively make a play out of the base if we're getting sieged, and if it goes wrong, I only have to run half the distance to get to a safe spot rather than run the entire way back to like another turret if I'm tanky enough and they don't kill me. Like,
Yeah.
this is going to save a whole lot of lives if you can position right or
And
like
flash
a mistake is
cooldowns.
made.
And if you,
yeah,
if you
and
made a
flash
mis-
cooldowns.
If you made a mistake where you're in your jungle, like you mentioned earlier, and you had to run all the way around, just be able to run straight through or have that,
That-
extra.
How
you
many
can
times
chase
has
people that are
10
walking
seconds,
out of the base too?
10 seconds of travel time from your blue buff to like they're shoving up mid, your blue buff if you're top side, up to the top turret, like the bottom lane third tier turret, back to your team that's trying to stave off that siege in middle. Like, you're basically cutting that travel time down in like to 3/4 maybe. So That's huge. Like every second makes a difference. So
And rushing to the Baron, you know.
Yeah,
You
getting
just
there
backed
way
and now we're
faster.
running to Baron.
Oh, I didn't even
Boom.
think about that. Getting to Dragon, like this is that. It's a huge time saver. I mean, from a jungling perspective, it's great because now, oh hey, I don't feel bad about going back early because at the end of the day, it's only 2 seconds. You know, I get an extra 3 seconds for the however many seconds I lost. So I get a net gain. Like it's not really a net gain, but I'm less punished for backing whenever I feel like backing now.
And Rek'Sai has one more pair of tunnels she doesn't have to put in that
Right.
spot every time as she goes out of the base.
But
So,
but tunnels
changes a
are
lot.
so cool.
You don't need them right there.
Tunnels
So-
everywhere.
All right, let's not get tunnel vision. Let's move on.
Jesus.
Sorry, I'm updating the document with some, some show gaffes. We talked about that the piece that is on the PvE. We're gonna talk about champions now having some of their items or abilities, change. Corki's Valkyrie W mana cost has been increased to 100 from 50.
I think this is something you actually need to pay attention to now,
Yeah.
especially during landing phase and sieges. After Corki hits 6 specifically, because he's constantly firing rockets and trying to poke people down. And when you're in lane, you're also using your Q a lot to harass. So mana is something you have to pay attention to a lot more now, because if you get ganked and you're under that 100 mana threshold, you're fucked.
The best way I can describe this is this sort of kills the aggressive Valkyrie W uses because you use it aggressive once wrong. That's mana that's twice as much mana. That's mana that you're going to have to wait so much longer to get back.
You've got 360 mana as Corki at level 3. So
Yeah.
you've pretty much got one Valkyrie at this point.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're
You need to save mana to use it, because using it isn't gonna hurt you that bad if you have the mana to use it. You use it because you're using it for an escape or initiate. But
But if you've got it,
you want to save 100 mana now. You need to hold on to that.
right. So, but if you've got to sit on 100 mana, meaning, Phosphorus Bomb is 60 mana, so you're essentially giving up a Phosphorus Bomb by having this. Does this reduce Corki's lane presence by quite a bit by just changing the cost on
well,
W?
it's not only
or is
are
it
you-
more risk reward of spending all your mana to harass and win the lane, but now you can't hold on your flash anymore.
Well, it's more risk.
It's more mana pods is what it is.
yeah.
Let's buy more mana pods.
Get that early sheen in those
Yeah.
mana pots, son.
What about-
something else
what
to
about
consider
that
is
item?
feeding in some. What? Go ahead.
What about that item that gives you mana for auto attacks?
That
Never
Essence
considered
Reaver, I
Essence
still
Reaver.
see
There you
it
go.
being grabbed.
that one that no one ever buys.
It's not even real. Nobody's gonna buy it. Stop trying to make it a thing. It's not gonna happen.
It's like
If-
Frozen Mallet.
Essence
If they
Reaver
make
Frozen Mallet
an
Force
item that builds into Essence Reaver and that item gives you some mana back,
builds out of
I
Essence
consider
Reaver,
it.
yeah.
Right,
That's
I consider it. But
It is on par with the Bilgewater Cutlass. It's
rushing
still-
Trinity Force on Corki is too important.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, it
the sheen
it
first,
comes
then.
down to rushing the T-Force on him is the equivalent of that BF sword power spike or the IE power spike, and he's not rushing that IE early. So if you're not finishing that T-Force around the same time the enemy AD carry is finishing their big item, you're going to be in a world of hurt if you have to get an
You don't
Essence
need
Reaver to
mid-game
make up
spike,
for
yeah.
everything else. Yeah. You'll
won't.
completely miss out on that mid-game spike, and that's what you're there for. Like
Just get the
you're
Sapphire towards your Sheen.
Yeah, that's what I would probably do is get the Sapphire and then you can pick up some extra mana pods, which I'd like to do anyway. But
Yeah, solid strategy.
So you just delay things by seconds.
By
rather than-
400 gold. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a bit actually. It's quite a bit of gold, but we can move on.
Yeah.
Release Neurotoxin on the PvE again. This is all PvE discussion. Neurotoxin max bonus damage to monsters. That's her Q, and her venomous bite max bonus damage to monsters has been increased. Base was 50 before; it is now 75. It's been 25 across all ranks. It looks like.
Shira,
And-
have you noticed her jungling was hurt with the new jungle?
okay, so
Is this needed?
when we had played, who we were playing. It was right at the beginning of the season when I was playing Elise, and I felt she was still in a great spot. And then they had pushed through those nerfs to Neurotoxin,
Right.
and like a little bit of her early damage. And it was funny because I hadn't played her for a while, and I picked her up, and I didn't get any help I didn't get any leash at all. And usually that's never a problem when I'm playing her. Like she's usually one of the safest junglers in my opinion. Like for at least what I used to do, but it was I had a brutal first clear, and I think a lot of that had to do with the Q changes. So I think this is just to make up. It's to kind of buff that big jump in damage that they removed from her Q running through the jungle. Then again, it was one of those things where you're still maxing Q first, so it was a pretty big hit because you're maxing that, and your W is just kind of staying static for a while. But
this keeps her damage the same against enemies, but just increases her jungle.
That's
clear.
fine. That's fine. I mean, I'm
saying
not
it's a bad thing. I'm just
it's. I would love for her to up that clear speed a little bit right now.
The nerf wasn't intended to hurt her jungle, just her presence on champion. So
no. The original nerf was like straight up flat. She was doing less percentage health damage to the jungle monsters, but I think that Riot is looking at it from a perspective of they may have overdone it a little bit, and now they're kind of giving a small concession to fix it. That being said, I still think she's really strong.
And she showed it in the expansion series, the LCS expansion. She was played well.
Again, you get that early leash, and she's still one of the few junglers that can still gank at level 3, and that in itself is monstrous. And that's without backing.
Now, I think we're going to see this. Maybe silently, I won't say silently, but like on the 50 upvote threads on our league rather than 2,000 upvote threads. But do you think people are going to get upset that champions are now doing damage to monsters rather than having a flat buff across the board to champions, minions, and monsters? Meaning that Riot is now pigeonholing certain champions into roles
as junglers.
I could see some gripey stuff, but when was the last time, at least in the regard for Elise, when was the last time she was played in the top lane, like on a competitive level?
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
Actually,
like big nerfs.
Think about it this way: all percent health abilities on any champion who has them has a separate thing for monsters.
Yeah.
So they're not really pigeonholing. It's just the nature of that ability.
It's something that they've also reduced. I mean, they reduced it on a Mumu early on, just because his when he cries, it was just shredding. He had early in the season, he was just shredding camps with his despair, and that was enough. They knew it was a problem early, where they rescinded that damage a little bit, which I think they're doing again. It's always it's funny because that percent health damage has always kind of been an issue with Elise for forever. It was one of those things like you would build Pen to keep that percentage health damage because it was always like ridiculously high. For an ability you could put 1 point in early and you're still maxing it, so you can just spider bite people till they die.
I think to answer your question, Adam, it's more along the lines of the little levers they use to tweak now.
Yep.
Instead of doing one thing that affects everything, and then they got to worry, oh man, now they just fell out of favor in the jungle, blah, blah. They can tweak it a little bit more finitely without hurting certain areas that they didn't mean to.
In a way, it's interesting because they can tweak the little levers, but I don't know how big of an issue this is going to be if they make too many variables for themselves to balance. Like, how convoluted is the puppet show going to get when every champion has so many strings that need to be pulled to balance it? It kind of seems like
employees.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's it just
and you podcast experience as a considerations.
Well, Evelyn's getting a change in the PvE. Her Shadow Walk passive now regenerates 2% of her missing mana every second, up from 1% maximum mana.
Does she have mana issues that you've noticed? I haven't.
Here's the thing.
She does.
Here's the thing. I could see it being without blue having mana issues, and I guess if we're going to talk about that, do you want to just bring up the Ravage change as well right now? Even though it's not really a change, it's just a tooltip clarification.
Yeah, Ravage E now states it applies on hit effects.
I didn't know it did that.
I don't think this little mana change is going to do enough to bring her back into contention in either a solo queue or a competitive play like Sphere. She has too many issues early with the new jungle changes. They took away a lot of what she used to specialize in with how they changed up some of the damage on her kit, and her early clear is so brutal at having that passive doesn't make up for it at all. So
brutal as in slow, or she takes too much damage, or
both.
Everything's just awful.
Not having a good time right now.
So maybe now you don't have to save your smite for Golem or blue buff.
probably not. But
Sentinel.
I don't think this is gonna make
I
it
don't know.
easy enough for her to just clear easy
Well, it's
peasy
not a
as it is
damage
anyway.
increase. It's just
Yeah,
a meta
it-
change for her to help her early game to spam a couple more Qs in between camps, assuming she can stay alive, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think the mana problem is that big of an issue. I think it's more of a survivability or a lack of the early damage to get through the camps. I don't know. She's gonna need to see a bit more love. And if there's anybody we should ask about this, it's Wrecker. I mean, he's played the hell out of this champion.
I'll have to
When
have
she
him-
was yeah. I mean, he
I'll have
played
him
the hell
look
out
at
of
it.
her.
I'll talk to her. Wrecker and I have been doing Sundays with Homeless Wolverine and Ponophobia, so we're going to continue doing that in the future. or Wolverine.
Is that Wrecker? Homeless?
No, it's if Wolverine was fat and made bad life choices.
You know
Wow.
what? That's a pretty apt description.
of Wrecker.
It's very
Yeah.
He actually made that. I call him Homeless Wolverine because it's just easier to remember and it's not as big of a mouthful.
And he didn't have an adamantium skeleton, and he didn't have healing powers, and
Yeah, it's basically Wolverine
didn't
if
have
he
to
was
just
just
have
a
the
normal
chops.
guy.
if Wolverine
Yeah.
was Wrecker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a baby.
Syndrome
I'll
making
mark
her
it.
debut.
I'll mark it.
26 minutes. Lots of baby crying.
All right.
So on the PvE, good changes coming here to Gnar, in my opinion. Well, bad for the Gnar players, good for those who have played against Gnar in the top lane.
Yeah.
Boomerang throw, mini Gnar Q, cooldown reduction on catching Boomerang now 45% and scales up to 50, 55, 60 based on R's rank, down from 60% on all ranks. Which
Yeah,
if
this
you
was definitely
go for
needed.
it.
Yeah.
It was pretty much, you could just fire this thing nonstop.
If he was catching it, it was
yeah.
a machine gun.
Oh, yeah.
It was ridiculous.
He could use it to kite you, could use it to chase you, and he would just use it to harass you all day in lane. This is definitely a change he needed.
I
don't think it's
played-
the only change he needs, but it's a step in the right direction for sure.
The other day, I played 8 hours of solo queue on Sunday, and I played a number of Gnars. The one Gnar I played, he was decent in lane, but he was like one of those players. He was like good at pieces and not good at others. But he taught me something really cool about Gnar, and that's he controlled his rage really well by using Boomerang without pushing the lane. Like he was really good at positioning himself, using Boomerang the last hit and help kind of push the wave, and with that he could manage his rage so well that I didn't know ever. I was like, he's going to evolve this wave, and I can attack him. No, he hasn't evolved yet. Like one of those things. He kept me at bay by managing his rage, so I couldn't all in him because he used his Q properly. So I really liked that. That taught me something about how to play Gnar and how to play against Gnar. But that would probably change now that Boomerang tosses doesn't have a 60% cooldown.
Yeah, it only nerfs his early game.
Right. I mean, it's still going to be that
And mid.
machine gun level.
Yeah,
Q
it'll still
toss
be back
late
to what
game,
it
but
was.
This
when
is going to
he
make
matched my
laning
bar.
against him
A little easier.
just that much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
which he needs because he kind of needs to snowball a little bit. But at level 16, he's still Gnar, as he is right now.
Yes, he's still Gnar.
Still pretty gnarly.
Hecarim changes Rampage. Mana cost decreased 20, 30, 26, 29, 32 from 24, 26, 28, 30, 32.
Spam it more.
See, early. You can spam it more early because now you have a 20 mana cost on it rather than a 24.
Which is so low.
Late and jungling. Yeah.
So low of a mana cost.
Oh yeah.
But
Which is awesome because he's needed these changes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he's got a pretty sweet ultimate. He can move around the map really easily. He can get gank decently well early if you're good at him. But he just had such a hard time getting through the jungle because mana costs were
Right.
high and he didn't do damage.
And that's
Right,
what
and-
these changes affect.
and the W change is gonna do some stuff too. So
Yeah,
the
Spirit of the
basically
Dread.
Spirit of Dread, the maximum heal
Huge
from minions and monsters is increased at rank 1 to 90 and at rank 5 to 210, and that's from 60 all the way up to 180. So that's gonna
30
be
on
great.
each rank. 30
Yeah,
more.
that's gonna be great. Especially in the early levels, because
Oh,
every
yeah.
little bit of health counts. So
Exactly what he needed.
yep.
I think he might be coming back.
God, and
I don't
does
think
anybody
back.
remember when his W was healing him for a ton? Like, if anybody's ever seen
Mm-hmm.
the bullshit AP Hecarim stuff that
Yeah.
people used to pull, just pop W, don't die. That was what it was. Now it's
Well, this also, I think
not
this-
that, but it's going
what
to
is
be
it,
really
Keen?
good.
Is it Keen? Is that the guy I'm thinking of?
Yeah, the
Curse
mid laner who
Academies.
plays Hecarim mid.
He's gonna love these changes.
Yeah.
How many more mid Hecarims are we gonna see being tried to be played now because the mana costs are reduced and they heal more with
Oh yeah,
W.
from minions too. Yep.
Jace change, hypercharge, cannon, W, attacks now deal 70, 80, 90, 100, 110% damage from 70, 85, 100, 115, 130. So having a damage reduction into the mid and late game on him with his W, doing less percentage total overall damage.
Barely at rank 2.
I look at the change and I'm like, okay, so this is a pretty significant change. You're doing 5% less damage. You're doing 10%, 15.
Yeah, it gets bigger.
30,
I find it interesting that they
His late
keep
game
hitting,
siege they hit.
Yeah, but I still find it interesting that they keep hitting his W because they just changed it so they like changed how the cooldown on it works. So now the cooldown's on activation. I mean, it's on the end of the ability rather than on the activation of the ability. And then they're doing this. They really, I don't know if it's because they're trying to pull those levers that make it so they still want him to kind of be that pokey, drop E, Q, and do his thing. And then his W was just the thing that was kind of pushing him over the edge because his EQ was so powerful. So they're trying to make up for that. But at the same time, I mean, and I think that's probably what it is. But I don't know if the W was as big of an issue as they're making it out to be unless you were at that late game point. So
W was really powerful. I think they're just trying to take damage out of his kit overall.
I would.
They don't want to take it out of his Q blast just because.
Well, and I would be fine. It's fine if they take away from this and then they slowly transition into something else. I would think that would actually be a pretty interesting way to go about balancing for this. But I don't know. This does definitely hurt his awesome. Just I'm gonna blow up a turret at the end of the game because I feel like it. You might
have to look at too if you're playing Jace, you're
with
more
the dragon.
You more likely have an advantage, assuming your team's doing well. I would say. I'm just just like an overall thought that with Jace, you're more likely doing well enough that you're taking dragons with relative ease because you have the poke and everything. So
that's actually a super interesting point because if you Jace being a pain in the ass to play against at dragon, if they're getting extra dragons just because of his presence or due to the fact that his presence is pretty overwhelming in those kind of areas, as long as your team can just continue to poke.
Well, he's winning lane pretty outright against a lot of them.
Yeah,
and this I think this change. This isn't really a solo queue change. This is more of like a ranked 5's professional level change to it because he's winning lane fairly easily, and that allows you to have better dragon control. While I don't think that is like the total reason it's changing, it does help the enemy team to come back. It helps the enemy team to deal with him a bit better. I think the basic idea is to take damage out of his kit somewhere, and it's easy to take it out of W.
My other point was if say you got those 4 dragons and you're doing more damage to turrets, and it's at that point in the game where your W is starting to finally do more than 100% damage on hit. If you have that already bonus damage from the dragon buffs, you are just making turrets your bitch. So this is going to really help fix that. I'm going to take a turret when I feel like it because I have basically 3 auto attacks in a very short amount of time.
Well, we'll move on to what's next in this list. So Nautilus Titan's Wrath, which is W. Shield values have been changed. Base shield value has been lowered to 65, 70, 75, 80, 85 from 100, 150, 200, 250, 300. So giant change here. It's been significantly reduced. But the shield now scales on a 7, 9.5, 12, 14.5, 17% of Nautilus's total health from 15% of his bonus health.
I want to do the math on this because if this is the case, I want to know what the shield value is going to be with his early game health as it is anyway.
At level 1, it is so with the change at level 1 it's a tiny bit more.
Okay.
Because he's got the 65 base and he gets around 40, like 42 health with the 7% of his total at level 1. So yeah, it's just over 100.
So this isn't even a nerf. This is a buff, and then to make the buff not overwhelming or to not give him a huge advantage in the fact that his shield doesn't go down while he's fighting a camp, so he keeps that dot up. They're taking away from just the shield value. So this is awesome, and giving it to a champion like that and basically saying, hey, if you want to take those early game health quints, you want to take those health runes, whatever, and you're going to get a lot of health throughout the course of the game because you're already building tanky, that shield is going to be monstrous.
It's going to be better later on, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Lulu Nautilus combos coming out for just insane initiation.
But how is his jungle
it's-
clear right
it's
now?
not-
Because this doesn't help.
It's not
Oh,
that
go
big a
ahead.
change though. Sorry, not counting runes masteries or the extra 2% you get and everything else at level 2, which is a base shield
like 20
value
more.
of 70. No, you get 157.02 life at level 6. That's a level 6 Nautilus W, which is 7 more life than you would previously have at 150. That's not so. It would probably be about 20 more if you're taking runes and stuff. So. I was just making sure that people understand that if you're not running extra life, you're not putting extra life in your kit. It's not a buff.
Right, it's not going to be that big of a deal.
Right.
Over the course of the game, though, it's still going to pay
Right.
off more than the bonus health.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where it
assume-
pays off.
Yeah,
Yeah, and assume you're buying health if you're playing Nautilus.
like Juggernaut enchant on a jungling item is going to be a decent W spike of health for him now, which is
Have
going to
you-
be crazy.
I haven't played him in the new jungle, but the old jungle, he was slow and it was just
He's
rough.
still pretty slow.
He's slow. It's
Even
not
if you
as bad,
Trailblazer
though.
350 gold back.
I get Trailblazer. I
Helps.
run a similar mastery setup to like my support Udyr sort of page. So you don't have any mana issues at all, and you can get biscuits. But the issue is that now if you want to build those,
See, I
So
played
with
him on
your-
the jungle, and I played him 921.
Okay.
I've also considered playing him 21 or 021-9.
Yeah.
I've been playing more jungle recently just to pick up another role, and for whatever reason, jungle just felt right with all the new items.
well, it's close to the top lane.
Yeah,
in
it
that
is.
regard, yeah.
It should fit you.
I didn't have a problem clearing the jungle. It didn't feel like it was rough. It was slow. Blue buff took forever to die without smite.
What runes were you running?
Attack speed. I was
Okay.
running like, was it 14% attack speed or 9% attack speed? So
Yeah,
I was running 9%
that sounds
attack
about
speed,
right.
some attack damage, armor, and then magic resist. Now I would change that up a little bit. I'd probably give him some move speed and whatnot rather than the extra attack damage.
You don't need magic resist in the jungle.
Right. I need to. I have base. I have a basic jungle room page that I just run on
Right.
everybody because I haven't specialized in it. But to kind of go off your point, or to kind of talk about him, he is slow, but I don't think you need to band-aid the mana problems. You just have to accept the fact that he's 3 or 4 seconds slower without being able to spam your spells. I saw a post. I sent it to you, Sean, a while ago, where people were
Yeah.
like, "You should run an Udyr page where you have all that extra move speed and everything."
Yeah.
But
I
guess it depends what your team needs too.
The clear really isn't. There are other champions that clear slower than him. I mean, you could say that there are certain champions that are better in every role, but he's not in a terrible spot right now. The thing is with the W change now that it's total health, if people are running those early game, like I guess all runes are early game, but if they're running the runes for that extra health to get a little bit of an early game benefit to the W, that's taking away from the attack speed, and attack speed his jungle clear is brutal without that extra attack speed. That attack speed can make all the difference. So
Should be able to get back to the jungle faster now too with that extra
Right.
gate. You anchor through, hit the train on the other side, pull yourself.
Yeah,
through that
I mean,
gate.
now
that's
there's
assuming you're taking
absolutely
anchor.
there was basically no reason to not go back and get
Well,
your,
yeah, level
your
3
jungle item, but
or
now
4.
you can especially do it because you're still saving time. I mean, the gate change is saving you more time. So go get that Rangers and then go have a ball.
That saves everybody more time.
Yeah.
So
So how much punishment was Nautilus actually taking in the jungle? Well, does he
If
really
you
need
ran-
this?
If you
this
ran the
shield increase?
support, runes, you would actually be able to do you'd be able to get through your jungle with like 3/4 health because
Because
you'd
of the
have
biscuits,
you'd
yeah.
have the 3 biscuits, which is pretty good.
that's what I do on Sedge.
Yeah. It was pretty similar to Sedge. I think that clears a little bit faster.
So it'd be more
but-
important for him to get those runes to help him clear his jungle faster.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, his early is hard enough where you have to have that extra attack speed. Like
but
Sean
that's
said.
how he's always been.
Right.
And most of that's for the application. Since the shield usually dies pretty early at level 1, what you would do is you'd want that extra attack speed to get as many like dot procs off as you could in as short amount of time as possible because that shield wasn't going to last very long. But the whole premise of running that support sort of mastery page is you don't have any mana issues, so you can spam your abilities as you will, and then instead of taking like a point in your Q at level 2 or a level 3, you would just double up on your shield so that you could clear a little bit faster and you just keep farming 3 to 4. But yeah, I don't know. I'll definitely give him a couple more a go, here and there, just because I love that champion. He's a lot of fun.
The attack speed helps with the Krug start too.
Yep.
Which you need to smite.
Well, I mean, with his passive, it doesn't really matter too much for the Krugs because he already kind of has a built-in Krugs.
Right.
So
I
you
really
can
like
stagger
I really
it.
like the Krugs on Skarner.
Yeah.
That was fun because they were just continually stunned with your Qs as long as you can balance the stuns correctly.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Rex size, Queen's Wrath Q bonus AD lowered to 0.3 from 0.4. Prey Seeker Burrow Q AP ratio lowered to 0.7 from 1.0.
RIP AP Rek'Sai.
Yeah.
Yep. Rip.
I will say,
No one will miss you.
I have noticed a lot of people dying, like just barely escaping with a very small amount of health against a Rek'Sai, and then her killing them with Q.
The range is just insane. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm out of its range. Nope.
Yeah, I'm going to hit you from a turret to another turret.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I haven't met a Rek'Sai yet that has scared me. I don't think I've
I
watched
will-
a
okay.
Rek'Sai yet.
I hadn't
I never
either
see them.
until the other night.
They get banned all the time.
Well,
Yeah, that's the problem.
that's the thing. I don't think I've played that great of a Rek'Sai until the other night, and I was firmly on the bandwagon of I don't think Rek'Sai's that great. I have people that I know at higher ratings that are like, oh, Rek'Sai's awesome, and it's like I just haven't seen it yet, and I can only use anecdotal evidence,
It's
my
like-
own experience for that. But I
Picture-
will say, I was playing the other day, and I ran into a Rek'Sai Orianna combo, and I don't know if they were together or whatever, but the two of them
The ball delivery.
was brutal in team fights. Like, you get the knock up from Rek'Sai as it was, and then if she caught more than one person, Orianna just followed up with death to your team.
I see Rek'Sai. I see her kind of like a Warwick who, instead of getting more powerful as the game goes on, has like a Pantheon-based timer. You know?
Yeah, she does 100%.
It's
That's what I
definitely
have
weaker.
noticed about her. Is she gets way weaker as the game goes on.
Right.
You would think that she does tons of damage because she has all that extra attack speed and the bonus AD under Q and all that, but she has to build tanky to stay alive because she's so squishy.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. She's such a strong duelist, but that being a strong duelist doesn't matter if you have a team wearing down on you when you're already that innately squishy.
Right. And Warwick has a lifesteal to help keep him in the fight,
Right.
and he has a nice long suppress on his primary target, which is hopefully the primary damage dealer, so he can stay in the fight longer. So I don't see Rek'Sai. I guess he's like a split the difference between Pantheon and Warwick. He's got the map mobility like Pantheon and the gank ability, but
step
I will-
the dueling
For the love
like
of God.
Warwick.
Yeah, that's the biggest piece of advice ever is just murder the tunnels when you see them.
I was
Yeah.
playing a game the
Step
other
on
day where this Corky, granted, he was carrying us. He never died to the Rek'Sai, but this dude would walk by every tunnel that was on the map and just ignore them completely. And I'm like, that Rek'Sai is going to scream, pop up behind you, and murder your face if you don't step on that tunnel.
Why
And
wouldn't
granted,
you kill them? It's free money.
She tried once, didn't get it, but she tried once, and I'm like, oh, come
That,
on.
by the way, that scream is great. It's the same thing with
Oh.
Scion's ultimate. I had it in a ranked game where I ulted my top lane opponent, but I did it to where they didn't see me till I hit them. And my mid lane was getting ganked, and they backed off because they thought I was coming in. So it was
Okay.
like, whew, your ult
Found
just saved
out-
my ass.
Found
Same
out
thing with
something.
Rek'Sai.
If you're playing against Rek'Sai and you're playing Nocturne, if Rek'Sai's burrowed when Nocturne ults, Rek'Sai can't see anything because the screen gets so black they have no visibility whatsoever.
really?
Yeah, and I played a game last night
even the
and
blips?
everything is like my friend Shoot was just really every time I'd ult, he was playing on the other team. We were all on TeamSpeak together. He was really mad the whole time. It was pretty funny. But I
I
didn't
know where I'm going.
Yeah, that was exactly it. I don't know if it might have been an issue with the Eternum Nocturne skin too, because I don't know if there's a slightly different visual effect as compared to the normal Nocturne skin, because I haven't played anything but Eternum Nocturne in a really long time.
So he's
But-
sitting there bumping into a wall. Doesn't know. what he's
well,
doing.
that's the thing. As soon as he would engage in a fight, and I would pop my ult and just dive whatever carry I could see that was squishy, and he wouldn't be. He didn't know where certain people were because he'd be burrowed or whatever. So he
Right.
didn't know if he was supposed to W here or who he could kill where. But it was pretty
Interesting.
detrimental because it took him out of the game for a few seconds.
Well, speaking of junglers, Skarner, Crystal Slash, mana cost lowered to 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 from 16, 18, 20, 22, 24.
It's beautiful. I love how they're taking these champions that have spammable Qs and then making their mana a little less so they can keep
Just
spamming
take
it.
away the mana cost.
Yep.
No
Yeah,
one will notice.
might as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can, keep my shield up the entire time in the jungle and take no damage. That would just turn Skarner into a goddamn monster.
Yeah.
Fracture
same with
E
Hecarim.
cooldown decreased to 12, 11, 11 and a half, from 12 at all ranks. So it actually goes down as you scale it up. So now you have
An option to rank it.
You have an option to rank
for
it,
that.
though you're still not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It's not a big enough difference. It's only 2 seconds across 5 levels.
It's Riot dangling a carrot on a stick. You want to rank it? You know you do.
You have more slow.
Nah.
You have more slow.
No.
Yeah, you have more slow, but when you can just take stalkers on him, why?
That's
You
the
know, you can
conversation we need to have for Wednesday. Is
Yeah.
the double brutalizer junglers are so good right now. Anyone who can take advantage of having 20% cooldown reduction, armor pen, extra AD, and all that, just insane.
I know Wrecker's been championing that for a couple weeks, so
He told me about it. I started playing jungle again, so I was playing double. Oh my god, I agree with him. Like it was just insane. It was like that Skarner game I played. You guys weren't in it. None of you were. I thought you guys were, but I played a Skarner game the other night, and I just what do we do? I picked up stalkers, started buying my brutalizer, had to build a spectre cowl, got a double kill, and then I just went all full AD after that point because I was just unstoppable. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a brutalizer, I got a double kill.
that's an interesting thing with Skarner too, because it's one of those things with him that if people don't know how to play against him and you get ahead early, you can build pretty offensively, and then people just shut down like mentally because they don't think this champion is supposed to be able to murder them that fast, and he
God,
does.
so much damage. You get a Umus on Skarner. That's insane. Like he stuns you right away, and he's just,
Have fun getting away from him.
right.
I'm just thinking of double brutalizer on Riven jungle. That would be disgusting.
Yeah, you
Wow,
just have- you have
I
to-
gotta try that.
You just have to make it to the point where you get the double brutalizer, where you are picking
You're
up
spending
that big item with
26.
it. Right.
What? 72 total.
Well, you're spending what is it? No, it's more
Leet,
than
it's
that.
leet.
Oh yeah,
it's leet per
2700.
brutalizer.
Yeah.
It's 1337 per brute, I think.
Well, whatever. How much is an
That's a change.
upgrade into like not warrior? Yeah, it's warrior. How much is the upgrade into warrior total? 2100 gold. Is that what it is?
I thought it was like 23.
Okay. Plus
Right around.
Plus the total plus the elite cost of
22.
what is there?
Yeah.
Well, let's
Let's
move on.
split the difference, Adam. Fuck it.
Yeah. Sona, and Days, if you guys are asking, Days isn't gone. She just doesn't have a microphone that works. She's coming back. I swear to God, I'm fixing it. But I wish Days was here because she would probably just go, well, so much for...
As our Sona
nice
player,
Sona. The Hymn of Valor Q, power cord bonus damage reduced to 40% from 50. I like this change only because it forces Sona players to focus more on being, in my opinion, what you should be doing as Sona, and that's, helping your...
In your snuggle zone?
You're staying. It's the bonus damage reduced to 40 from 50%. It forces new Sona players to focus. New Sona players to focus on what Sona does, and that's providing auras to your team and providing bonuses to your team rather than carrying yourself. Now, this does hurt this season's Sona players that would maybe building Lich Bane or trying to carry out of the lane.
I was gonna say this is just gonna make it less punishing for people who miss position against Sona, so that they're taking free harass. But I guess 10% adds up over the course of the game real quick. So
And Daze is a very aggressive support
Yeah.
player, so I can see her not liking this at all.
But this is gonna be the thing that if you were on the edge of getting kills and you were just barely getting them, this is going to be the difference between getting
Right.
that kill
Well,
and
it's
not
probably
getting
3
it.
or 4 damage early.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Even if it's 3 or 4 damage early, it's still a reduction. Even when you're getting AP, you're taking for every AP that you get to carry from that lane, you're still doing 10% less than you would have done otherwise. So I mean, it's still a flat 10% across the board.
And it still hurts though, so I can't see
Yeah.
really adjusting your
Damage.
playstyle. She's still a pokey support champ, so
Right.
Well, it probably shines to bring Zyra rather back over Sona now. People will probably end up prioritizing the champion that you can actually build full AP on and not be punished. I'm not going to say you're punished for it, but
Annie's
do
a coming
more
back.
damage for it. No, I've heard Annie top talk
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yep, I
I
can see
had
that.
considered it.
How do you feel
before
about
IEM.
that?
I had considered it before IEM. My problem is great for solo queue, probably terrible for ranked 5s or
I don't
pro
know.
play.
You
Because
should try it.
well, no, I watched it at IEM, which is funny that they were playing at IEM. I don't remember who it was.
I saw that. Yeah.
But I had
Didn't work.
like the week before I had thought about it. I was like, maybe we should stop playing Top Annie because of reasons. She, great zone, da da da. But it didn't work because she gets 2v1 and she cannot survive in a 2v1, and she cannot walk around the jungle and kill creeps like a Maokai can and whatnot.
Well, I mean, even I could see it definitely work in solo queue just because a teleport flash Tibbers is definitely enough to make her
still a
break a
great gank
gank
tool.
bottom. Yeah,
And she still has a baseball arm, even if she's not doing as much damage.
I mean, how many
Baseball
times
throwing
in
arm.
solo queue do you see a 2v1? So that I mean, that's a
I'm just trying to think of why I
relevant
would
statement for
pick
that.
her over Lysandra.
What about
It seems like
Cannon?
Lysandra can gank Lysandra is such an amazing ganker.
Yeah.
Her
Holy
initiating
shit.
is insane.
She can come from places you can't expect.
And she's also safe from the top lane because she has her E to escape. I mean, whereas if Annie is pushed up and she gets ganked from behind, she's got
She's
a
dead.
long way to get back to her tower, and she's got nothing to help her.
She's dead unless she one-shots you.
There's no reason to play her over Gnar, Lysandra, Kennen, Scion, Mundo, Trundle, whatever. Like, even throw Trundle into that mix just because his ultimate's so damn good. But
It'd be one of those things that
she's on a cusp. Like, if Lysandra gets nerfed, I could see her start being played in solo queue more often.
Annie's burstier than Lysandra. The way you build her, she's way burstier. She will delete somebody faster than Lysandra. Lysandra's better for the team initiation.
I would argue that
with her choice.
Annie would delete multiple people faster than Lysandra would.
Right.
do it,
So
but-
you're weighing your damage on your team. Do you have a real tanky jungler? Do you have that guy
have a
playing the new
J4.
Nautilus now? So maybe you want to bring a little bit more damage to the top. Could be an option.
But
I don't know. You
again,
should try that. Annie was your girl. She carried you to plat.
No,
true.
Here's
the
my
same
problem.
time,
I talked
though-
about earlier, we're playing the Lola podcast. I know I'm on this Kennen train, so now I got to go back and start learning Rumble again. Like, I got to go and relearn these other
Rumble's
champions.
You
I
should never
can't
drop
wait.
Rumble.
We're gonna get in game 2 of that and just be like, "Fuck it, I'm picking Azir," and it's like, "What? Don't do that! Stop!"
Can I play Azir? What?
No,
Damn it!
no.
Azir is
Oh,
good,
man.
you sons of bitches.
I saw a good Azir player the other day, and he made you look bad.
I know. My Azir is goddamn amazing. I hate you all.
I'm sure it is.
Azir,
buddy.
My
Shocking
daughter's
orb.
getting nerfed.
Oh yeah, right, Syndra. I accidentally skipped her. I didn't mean to. I really didn't.
You bastard.
Syndra, Dark Sphere. Q damage
Sphere.
lowered to 50, 95, 140, 185, 230 from 70, 110, 159, 190, 230.
So every
early
rank except
game.
for the last. Yeah.
Man.
I
And
can't
they're
see this
looking at E.
affecting too much. I mean, you're ranking that first anyways.
Yeah, you are.
It's the Q
But
harass.
It
Yeah.
costs mana. It takes a lot of mana to use, and now it's not going to be nearly as worth to use to harass. So
Yeah, I mean,
trading's gonna be more
especially
difficult.
if you're using it with no regard for your mana pool, which I've seen a lot of not that great Lysandra players do. You're getting way less of a payout for it.
Well, I still
So-
feel like the way she is now, you still have to be conservative with your Qs.
Yeah. Or you should
do.
be conservative.
So
with
it's
them.
even worse. So it's rough. I guess it's for the you just hit level 6 QEW Q again combos. Maybe they won't hurt just as much when you throw that scat of the week at them and they're just running
She's
to their
always
turret.
been a
Now-
big lane bully.
Are we going to touch on the scat
Yeah.
of the week?
Yeah.
The width
Okay.
is well. They're
They're
is it?
thinking about
According
it.
to Rickless Abandon, there will be a nerf to width on scat of the week missiles.
I am so okay with that.
But it's
because
so
I have been,
hard to hit them.
Tentative.
You
It
say
is.
that, but I have been hit by that thing in spots where it looked like it was nowhere close to
Okay,
you.
why are they touching Scatter of the Week and not touching Thresh Q or Blitzcrank Q or...
Good question.
You know, I got hit by a Thresh Q that was outside of the animation, like the tip of it. I probably had a goddamn Tebow in front of me.
Was it just the tip, Adam?
And I got
yeah.
hit with just the tip, and it still pulled me in.
And it readjusts that drastic.
yeah.
Like you see it over to the right, and then all of a sudden it goes, what? Nope,
They
it's on
should
you.
just.
It's like,
I really
on.
wish they just made an animation for Thresh's hook to curve at you in
Right.
situations like that, just to really
where it's like
piss me
wiggling
off.
at the end, so
I
no
want
matter where it
Thresh's,
hits,
I want
it smacks.
Thresh's character to go like, well, he have his gun, like his hand on sideways, and then turn it at the last second like it's a gun. Sean looked at me like, God damn it, Adam.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate everything about it.
Zareth, shocking orb tooltip now lists stun scales up to 2.25 seconds instead of 2. May just be a tooltip fix. We don't know. Again, PvE. Farsight orb cost reduced to 250 from 475. That's the upgrade, which I like because I find it very hard to upgrade my Farsight orb or have the money
It's
to
sometimes
upgrade
it's hard to rationalize upgrading it
Yeah,
for
that's
the
exactly it.
475.
All the
I mean-
upgrades are reduced. So
Especially as an AD carry, you're spending so much gold on the stuff. You're like, oh, I'm so close to this item. I could save up for it, or I could upgrade my fart. No, fuck that idea. That's terrible. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
do that.
I'll get a potion of reckless abandonment instead,
Right.
right?
I'm sorry, not all the other ones. The greater stealth totem and the greater vision totem got the same mana cost reduction,
Yeah,
but they
as long
also
as
have
it's level.
cooldown.
Yeah, as long as it's still level 9 that you can't upgrade them, I'm still not going to upgrade my totem because I don't use it. I have been selling my totem a lot in laning phase to get a sweeper. Like I know
yeah.
laning phase is coming to an end in the next 3 or 4 minutes.
And this is, I mean, this looks like it's a movement to get away from that everybody's going to have a sweeper by the end of the game sort of thing, because
I
now
don't
it's
think it's gonna fix
incentivizing you to get one of the other items for cheaper.
Well,
But
I mean, if it's late game and everybody's fully decked out, maybe you'd want to go back to grabbing one of these upgraded.
right,
But otherwise, and maybe early laning phase, but you can buy this item elsewhere, whereas you can't buy a sweeper elsewhere. You
Right.
can't buy a Farsight orb elsewhere. So why
well,
would you not?
especially with the sweeper, you're buying the true sight word removal that
Yeah.
you can move with.
Yep.
Until they get rid of that, it's still going to be better than anything they do to the
Oh
totem.
yeah. It got an Ackley in the game. Got anybody who can stealth?
Well, it's like, okay, cool. You get the pink totem to deal with that. You dropped it in one spot and they move away. Great purchase. Buy the sweeper upgrade. They look like they're getting away. Chase them to the ends of the earth and kill those invisible bitches because you can.
You have an oracles for that.
Yeah.
Time. Yeah, but it's neat the cost reduction. I like what Punch is saying as an ADC when you're spending every dime you have on your upgrades. It allows you to get it a little bit earlier. Would you get it at level 9, Punch? With
At
this reduced
9,
cost?
that's
Instead
a
of a
weird
couple
spot
awards?
just because.
Like, that's too goddamn early.
Yeah, I
way
don't know.
too
That's
early.
still pretty early. I don't know about that.
But it really enhances it. The upgrade
It does. It's a worthwhile upgrade.
makes it useful, whereas
But out of
kinda
all the
not.
champions in League, I think ADC is the one that has to manage their money the most. You
Even
can't
if I've got-
frivolously spend 75 gold on wards. Like you can
Well,
buy
even if I
one.
have like this 250 gold sitting around, I'd probably just spend it on wards instead.
Right.
okay.
Or I mean, if this is the difference between you finishing like, I don't know, something to get that little bit of extra oomph for team fights where you're supposed to shine.
And even before, when it was at 475, you usually get home guard before upgrading this too. So I mean, this does give you more opportunities to upgrade it earlier, definitely. And I see myself doing that. I'm just not sure when that would be.
When you're playing Jinx and you want to get some
Speaking
sick
of
ults off.
ADCs, Infinity Edge critical strike chance has been reduced to 20% from 25. Any thoughts,
And
Punch?
But Phantom Dancer was increased to 35
Yes.
from 30.
It's just more of a reason not to rush this as your first item. Like what I've talked about before is building your BF sword, then getting a Zeal, and then finishing Infinity Edge. I think that's still the way to go. Definitely now with the 5% reduction to critical strike chance. The 5% increase to Phantom Dancer is a little more interesting because
It's a wash if you have both items.
Pretty awesome.
that and before
with.
you could pretty much build a static shiv without thinking every game and you'd be fine. Now I think this just emphasizes you want to get into the habit of thinking which one do you want to build. You got to look at how much wave clear your team has, and you have to look at how
Well, how many auto attacks are you going to get off?
that too.
This is going to be a little simplified for looking at, but I've always looked at a Shiv as a poor man's Phantom Dancer. So
I don't know. I love Static Shiv. Granted, I'm not a big AD player. I'll play it in the solo.
I
queue, but
love Static
Shiv
Shiv.
does so much burst damage and then initial
does.
hit.
It's
That's why
great.
it's great.
When you're
Yep.
behind and you need to make up for that little
It's
initial
great.
burst to scare people.
It's great even in that game where you can get that. If you get Shiv before the enemy gets Shiv, and that's all you have in between the upgrades is 400 gold, that Shiv wins team fights.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a little
and
mini
trades.
power spike per mid game.
And trades in lane. Like Emperor Palpatine was based on it, you know. Headbutt, Shiv, auto attack.
Yeah, you don't
bam,
really see
and then
Shiv
just
rush
wins repeat.
anymore, though.
But
now
yeah,
that
so-
Tristana has been changed.
Right. Well, so yeah. So think about this is another scenario of wanting to buy Shiv or Static or Phantom Dancer. The Tristana game I played not too long ago, I think it was with some of you guys, where I got super ahead early. That game, I wasn't getting a static shiv like I normally would with Tristana in the mid game to power me through, because I already had so much money. I was pretty much already powered through the mid game. My mid game weak spot didn't need it, so I got a Family Dancer instead, just so I can hit that late game later. So it's things like that you have to think about when you're judging the two items. Doubly more so now that Phantom Dancer got that buff.
Right. 5% crit is nothing to sneeze at.
It's huge.
Right. Hunter's Machete, we should have talked about this earlier with junglers. Now grants 15 gold and large monster kills up from 10. Chira.
Nice little buff early.
It is.
Nice
I mean,
buff,
especially if you're, especially if you're efficiently clearing, it's going to be that much more. It's so crazy, and I notice this every time I play with fans or I'm in games where I'm up against people that aren't as comfortable jungling in the new jungle, that they'll sit in bushes and they waste so much, or they won't even sit in bushes, but they'll waste so much time trying to force or wait for an opportunity to present itself, whereas like people who've been jungling really min-max their time and, oh hey, something looks like it's going to happen. I'm in the area for it to happen, but I'm going to pick up whatever camps I can get while I'm there and just react at a moment's notice. This just makes that much better. So again, it's one of those things that it makes it so the junglers who know what they're doing are going to get that much little bit more of a gold difference. And if that's the difference between finishing an item when the other person hasn't, that's huge.
Well, here's where it's big. You clear 2 camps and back. You got your 350 easy, and you can probably grab a pot. 2 camps right now will give you 330 or 325, and then the time it takes to recall, you'll have your 350. You might have to wait for an extra second. Now you'll have it before you start backing, so maybe you'll be able to accumulate enough gold for that extra biscuit if you're playing the support or regular pot.
Oh, you know what? More jungler changes. This was the big one that I wanted to talk about earlier. Smite now works on charge or an ammo system. You gain 1 charge every 75 seconds. First, be able to cast it every 60 seconds, and can hold up to 2 charges. With a tooltip, there is a 15% 15-second cooldown between casting smites, and the recharge timer starts at 140. So you still only have 1 charge of smite when you start the jungle.
Yep.
But as the time increases, junglers have smite more often. What
Basically,
I did find, I felt like I never had smite when I wanted it, unless I was saving it for a specific objective either.
This is also going to affect the smitems in the fact that now that you can use, if a team fight goes on long enough, you could use stalkers at the beginning of the fight to start something, and then as the fight's being cleaned up, you can use it again. So that's going to be interesting. In a way, I don't know how this is going to work out with timing or whatever, but if enough time spent between traveling or trying to gank or whatever, you might have multiple smites up when you go from one camp to the next. So this is sort of one of those things. If you can't make something happen, you can clear one side of your jungle really quick. I mean, if you have 2 smites on
double buffs though, you can get double jungle buffs. Isn't that kind of huge? Not like
you
can get
run
Raptor
right from one to the other. Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. You can get Raptor
and get your health off smite, like on the red camp. Like, say you're top side, you smite for the health and you get Raptor.
You can get Raptor, so you have the buff to get to stop a ward, and then you can go and
take golems.
Get the Krugs, or you can go to the enemy jungle and steal their wolves and get that little ward in the enemy jungle, so you can see where you can do a whole bunch of awesome things with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to make a little bit more diversity when it comes to smite's usage. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to play with it. So.
I know how much you like to play with it.
I love playing with it, baby. You know me.
With it right now, I can see it in your hand.
Damn right, dude. I gotta.
So,
I know I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, right. This is why I left Renekton out, because I knew we would hit it up to an hour if I didn't. If we talked about Renekton.
Yeah.
Didn't even cover the new item either.
We got Wednesday.
What new item? Oh,
the
ZZ
The
portal of demonic coolness.
We'll talk about a little more on Wednesday. Plus, we'll talk about some other things that I wanted to chat about. I don't remember what it was now in the podcast. We'll talk more about jungle. We'll have lots of jungle discussion here because I want to talk about double brutalizer.
This is my favorite season ever. Jeez.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, guys, don't forget we are playing the League of Legends Anonymous podcast here in a couple weeks. I will hopefully have the final date for you on Wednesday. If I don't have it Wednesday, it will be 100% on Monday. More than likely to be the end of this month. We'll be playing. Punch's birthday's end of this month. and Chira and Punch and I are all going to the meadery. At some
Oh,
point
is
at
that
the end
is
of
that
the
what's happening
Nice.
this month? I'm
month.
down.
End of this month or
I hope
February,
so.
we're going to the
Okay.
meadery.
Even
That'd
better.
be amazing.
That's it for episode number 100 or 223. Damn, of the Trinity Force podcast.
Bye, guys.
That's it,
See you
guys.
guys.
See you next
Night.
week.
Yep.